Set your butane torches to high and your expectations to low. Coming to you from the Cigar Cave in the hills of Steel City. Get ready to get your fix. This is the Cigar Junkies Podcast.
Welcome to the Cigar Junkies Podcast.
The cigar show for the community, by the community.
A forum to talk stogies, booze, food, and anything else in the cigar lifestyle.
If you're looking for ratings, negativity, or an authority on all things cigars, you came to the wrong place.
Whether you like what you hear or not, please join the conversation and let us know by finding us
at the Cigar Junkies Facebook group
or contacting us at thecigarjunkies@gmail.com. What's up, junkies? Yeah, you let me down already, guys. You let me down already. Welcome to the Cigar Junkies Podcast. You guys know me. I am Corey, and along with me, we have some very, very special guests. In case you didn't notice, we're missing a certain pretty boy, America's ass, as it were. Go ahead and get this thing lit, this awkwardly shaped object. We have the infamous Chichingo, and who I've decided to designate Peppa Patty. I couldn't think of a way to incorporate your love for pigs into a nickname without it sounding negative or
bad.
Yeah. So I was like, what about Peppa? Peppa works.
Yeah.
So we got a way to make it cute without people questioning if I'm an evil asshole.
True. Yeah.
I mean, I am, but not for that reason.
People may assume that anyhow, but still.
That's true.
You
This
don't have
is
to be so blatant about it.
This is a strange shape to smoke. I'm surprised how well the draw's working out for me, though.
Isn't it?
So let's go ahead and get into the appropriate things here. So Sam is not here. Sam is out in Sin City doing his very first PCA. He is sinning. I don't imagine he's going to have time for sinning. I think he's going to be a little bit tied up. But maybe it'll be tied up in a fun way sometimes. It's possible. It is the city of whatever.
Is he going to call you if he needs bail money or anything?
No, he knows better. I don't have any money.
I just was wondering.
Look around you. He knows I've got nothing. So what have you guys been into this week?
We are getting ready for a comic show.
A little tighter to the mic here, Peppa.
We're getting ready for a comic book show this weekend.
So I know that's Chichingo's his dig. Mm-hmm. Is that you too? Are you enthusiastic about it as well, or are you just a supportive wife?
No, I am not emotionally involved in this. I am just financially. That's all I care about is the money.
Yeah.
I would
Like
not have
a true wife
to learn about this world, but it was thrust upon me with the I do.
Yeah, she likes having things thrust upon her. We all know that. So what is prepping for a comic show entail?
Well,
what is it like, and what kind of stuff are you guys peddling?
Well, my normal business name is just the Wax Man, and the shows normally that I only do is the Steel City Con in Monroeville. I'm sure some of you may be familiar with that. I've been doing that for over 20 years. The normal things that I sell currently is sports and non-sports cards in the unopened packages going all the way back to the 50s.
Okay.
That's normally what I carry, but when I started along, my major hobby is I collect comic books. So I started as a comic book dealers, and the cards push the comics out. But tomorrow in Waynesburg, I'm actually doing my first comic book show since around 1993.
So we had to update.
So prepping.
I'm looking around the table at all of these crooked cigars, and I'm thinking everybody needs a little bit of a pick-me-up. Everybody's cigars are a little bit limp. It's just this is my first experience.
Yeah, it's not the video. The cigars are really crooked.
That's correct.
It's true.
That's correct. So what do you guys do to prep for that kind of stuff?
Well, in this case, first of all, the main thing is pricing. We have about 500 comic books we're taking. We had to individually go through and price these to know what the current market value is. One at a time.
It was mind-numbing.
And they have to go into with their...
Yeah, I imagine you have to do that every time, right? Because the market fluctuates and the prices change, so you can't just have a standard.
It is, but in this case, these actually weren't, the prices weren't changed since 93, or there were a bunch of new things. So it's literally taken 2 weeks. So all of our spare time has been spent pricing comics. Now, I didn't have a backboard, and Patty actually created a nice backboard out of shelving and a huge 2x4.
I'm much more the mechanic of the family.
Okay.
I am not mechanically
I'm
inclined.
much more comfortable in this.
She's handy too.
Yes.
You married well there, Chichingo.
Yes.
He'll stay in your playroom.
That
and
is for
I'll stay
sure.
In the workroom.
There you go. Well, we've got lots of toys in here too. Don't fool yourself. There's lots of good stuff hidden away in here. So you guys, you're into the actual comic books. So you guys like the MCU? Are you enthusiastic about it?
Oh yeah, I'm big into the comic book world. In general, whether they're DC movies or the Marvel Comics movies. I'm into them all quite honestly. Patty, I don't know about you.
Just the Thor movies, right?
No, actually, I specialize in older comics. So, like, they have eras, gold, silver, bronze. Well, before that is platinum, and before that is Victorian.
Okay.
And I actually specialize in the oldest comics.
But
so
how do you feel
Victorian.
about the movies, the MCU?
The movies are
I
nice.
figure that's why I'm pointing out the Thor thing. I
She
figure
wanted to go
everybody loves Thor.
Well, I generally don't like blondes.
Oh, well,
So I
like them better after the haircut.
yes, I prefer the Morbius.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Dark-haired man stuck on my neck. I'm all over it.
All right. Well, let's. Try to keep it a little bit frank. It's not a child show. I mean, you better be 21 if you're watching this anyway. So, let's not fool ourselves. But that's cool. That's cool. I have nothing interesting to speak of. I've been working a lot of shifts leading up until now, killing myself at home in between. But tomorrow we're celebrating my baby girl's 16th birthday.
Oh, my.
So happy birthday to Kieran.
Happy birthday, Kieran.
I'm sure that the insurance company is going to send me a nice little gift for her birthday and
Welcome
increasing my
basket.
it's gonna be a good time.
Is this your first kid driving?
This is my first kid driving. Yeah, so my daughter's 16, my son's 14, and that's
So
that's
Corey
the
will be
introduction.
setting up a GoFundMe page for
That's correct.
his car insurance.
And I hope
Just
it
so you
goes
know.
better than our Patreon account, but we'll one thing at a time. But let's go ahead and get into what we're smoking today.
It's time for the Cigar of the Week, brought to you by Leaning House Fine Cigars. The Leaning House is your destination for the ultimate cigar smoking experience. Whether you're exploring their wide selection of premium cigars, unwinding in their comfortable lounge, or enjoying live music on one of the most unique and intimate live music venues in the burg, the house has something for everyone. Do you want to try the stick we're smoking today? Stop by leaninghousefinecigars.com or visit Dave in Bell Vernon or Heidi in Brownsville. Wherever you are, make the house your home for premium cigars.
We're keeping it alive for you, buddy. We're keeping your spirit here, even if you can't be. The cigar this week is actually brought to you by, we're going to say, Dave and Patty Productions. The cigar will be available to you at Leaning House Fine Cigars, but we are smoking the Tatuaje Fasto Calibra, which is a 7.5 by 38, and it is, it was one cigar, and it's now 3. So you got little 3 musketeer here thing going on here. I'd say let's gingerly touch tips, but I don't want ashes all over my podcast.
Just the tip.
Just the tip, yes.
Just the tip. There you go, Sam. Free plug. We'll take care of you when you're not here. So this is 3 Ecuadorian Colorado Maduro wrappers, Nicaraguan binders, and Nicaraguan fillers, manufactured at the My Father's Cigar Factory. The Calibre, Spanish for snake, is made from 3 Lonsdales twisted together. So this is the cigar that you guys opted to bring with you. Do you have anything that you'd like to share on this personally, on why that you selected it? Is it just because there's 3 of us and 3 of these, or?
Actually, it was a combination of all those. We needed 3 cigars. This is actually the type of cigar that you might not actually run into that often, or even give it a try if you see it. I don't know if you can see here. It comes in a nice little box, and what you get in there is you not only get the Calibra, which is the 3 cigars, but you also get a standard Fausto Lancero in there as well. I've just always felt the cigar is one of those that it's just something you need to experience once. So I figured it'd be good to share this with all of you if you see it. It is weird smoking a cigar this way. I always say that if you smoke this before you start drinking, you know you've been drinking too much when the cigar looks like it's straight.
Or you might just be at the end of it and ready for another one.
That's true.
It reminds me of Elmer Fudd's gun. After Bugs Bunny would bend it backwards so he'd shoot himself instead of him. That's kind of what I'm getting. So we got 5 or 10 minutes before we get our live PCA update from our boy Sammy. There is something I want to address before we get to that. So I haven't seen you guys since we did the live event from Smoke in Bridgeville. And the pen that is leaning toward you, sir, And our handy dandy little display here is actually your pen.
Oh.
That is made from the Aladino Vintage Selection box that you see in front of you. And our buddy over at Tom's Penworks layered a bunch of that wood together and hand turned it on his lathe to produce these awesome cigar pens. So we haven't had anything come up lately in the chat rooms and stuff that we've deemed worthy of a prize. So we're kind of stockpiling right now. But I think what we're going to end up doing is our next live event is going to be August 5th. Keep up with us for the time. I'll keep you all updated. But it's going to be from Nelson Augusto's over in Greensburg for the Aladino event with Justo Aroa and Trey Mack, their regional sales guy. And I think we're going to make sure that we have some stuff to give away in person out there to try to convince some of you guys to get out of the chat room and come out and see us in person. But we'll definitely have some really cool stuff to give away, including pens from Tom's Penworks, some custom-made leather cigar accessories from our buddy Ian Mock, and maybe we'll have some T-shirts and stuff there too. So, yeah. So my understanding is there's actually two different rumors about the origin of the Calibra cigar. Do you have one that you know, or do you happen to side with one or the other? Do you know any background about the shape of the cigar?
I was always told that, as far as what I've heard, as far as what the Calibra was, that originated in Cuba, and because basically the Cuban cigar rollers used to be able to take as many cigars or smoke as many as they wanted or during the shift. Well, at some point, they basically told them, well, you can only have one cigar or take one cigar home. So some enterprising individual came up with the idea of intertwining 3 cigars to make one cigar, so therefore they got to take 3 instead of 1.
Which really just tells you how bad a communist government is, because if you can't say, hey, that's 3 cigars, no,
Right.
that's not going to work, then you're missing something.
See, I can appreciate, wanting to get it back.
Oh,
to
yeah,
your-
for sure.
To your job.
What
you know?
is the kind of thing that I would definitely do if I was working in a cigar
Yes.
factory and they told me one a day, you'd be lucky if you only had 3 of these entwined together. I would have had something that looked a little bit more like a bazooka when it was all said and done, I
Right.
imagine. But what I've actually found on the internet is I actually saw some information that supports it from the other side, which is actually that the company would give each roller a Calibra to smoke because they were allowed to have 3 cigars to smoke or however many cigars during their shift. And they would give them these because anybody caught smoking a straight cigar would be then stealing from the company. And it would be easy to identify anybody that was taking stuff that they were not supposed to. Both stories make sense.
Yeah.
And they're both believable because they're all based on greed.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
and one way or the other, the direction is accurate to me. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. I'm just not sure which end it actually started with, but I believe that either one of those is possible.
And there's really, as far as the Calibra itself, there's not many brands that actually make it. So finding one actually isn't easy. It's still there's one brand in Cuba that's still made. The Partagas has a Partagas Calibra, but that's the only brand in Cuba that's still available that they make. The only other ones I've heard of is I think Davidoff actually has a Calibra. I don't know if it's currently in production. Other than that, I don't know of actually who's got any current Calibras out there. And
I know they
except
exist.
for the Fausto.
I know they exist. I've seen them a couple of times, but I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to who's making them and all of that happy stuff and what kind of quantities. Patty, you are remembering to keep your eyes off the boy toy and watch the chat room, right? If anybody has anything interesting to say, you'll let us know.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't really pitched out to them too much yet, but I just wanted to make sure.
I just think it's unique and strange that now we get to see Sam commenting on the show as opposed to being here.
And ignore his comments.
Yeah.
Screw you, Sam.
It is much quieter when we're not typing.
That's true. That's true. But we've only been at it for a few minutes. We'll see who picks it up as we go. We'll find out if Heather's gets in there and starts making some noise maybe in a little bit. Don't ask her viewpoints on T-shirts. She takes it to a bad place. That's all I'm going to say about
Knowing her, that's not surprising, though.
that. Fair enough.
She can take anything good to a bad place if she
dear.
wants.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring the level up. Sammy boy, you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Jeez. All right. That level is a little loud. I'm going to bring you down and we'll
Thank
adjust
you,
it as
Sam.
we go. You just scared the bejesus out of Chichingo and Peppa Patty, I decided we're going to call her. So, what's good? What's happening over there in the Sin City, buddy?
Dude, it's so cool. This is my first trade show.
Let me cut you off because there was something I was planning here and it got kind of jacked up. So we're
All
going to
right.
do it this way. Brought to you by Just the Tip Cigars. We've got the Just the Tip Spotlight. Coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada is Sam the Man Hoffman from the PCA Trade Show, and he's about to give you just the tip of the news.
Bravo, bravo.
Wow, look at you go, man. You're all like official and everything again.
I'm trying, buddy. I'm
Mess
trying.
with-
Hey, people are recognizing you out there on the streets. We got to maintain your reputation, you know?
Got to maintain that rep.
Or plausible deniability.
So, okay, go
dude.
ahead. Get into it.
So, I mean, not a whole lot going on today. I went to, Fuente Friday at an event here. I posted the cigar on the Junkies page. So there was 250 of them made, and in that room today, there was 250 of them smoked.
No doubt.
Oh, no
That's
savings.
it. That's all there are. Really cool cigar, really unique. It was 13 different types of tobacco. There was a Mexican Sumatra wrapper and a Sumatra Cameroon wrapper. And then it was a dual binder, which was not revealed to us, as well as 9 other tobaccos rolled into it. So the whole process, as you went through describing it, I can't even do justice to try and talk about it myself, but it's really just amazing.
Sounds like they should have called it the kitchen sink.
Yeah, it really something along those lines. It was fantastic, but definitely giving some love to Fuente on that. It was a heck of an event because it was really cool because they were up front. They talked about the cigar a little bit, and then they basically just opened it up to everybody sitting there and just said, "What do you guys think? You tell us about the cigar. You tell us about the cigar." And throughout the room, everybody had their opinions on it, and it was very unique. I've never had a cigar that you could feel the sweetness kind of like at the base of your teeth, if that makes any sense, like on your gum line. Like you could feel a sweetness to it while you were getting like a really cool pepper and a salt to it. So it was really unique and a lot of fun.
Well, it's too bad you can't bring one home for me.
There's too bad no one else is ever going to get one. That's it. It's done.
Well, fair enough. I mean, you got to have something special for the event, I suppose. I hope that you will pass along to Trey Mack when you see him that I'm expecting to receive a certain cigar in the mail or carried home by my buddy.
I'm sure he's aware, but I'll remind him for you.
Fair. So what else is going on there? What's exciting? I hope you're not getting distracted by all the pretty lights and spending your cigar money on slot machines.
No, after a
Hookers and blow?
exhausting flight and process yesterday, I got about 3 hours of sleep, and then being on East Coast time, I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, and didn't really have a whole lot going on.
I had faith. That's sorry. I got distracted by somebody. I had faith, and I asked the guests to maintain a certain standard, by which I asked them to not pull a Sam. And Chichingo just failed because he spilled his donkey punch on the edge of the table.
Yes.
Well, that's
proud of you.
because the coaster provided stuck to the bottom of said cup.
Excuses,
So if
excuses.
there were better coasters here, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Well, another cool thing that came out of that seminar, which works out really well, because I just saw a comment from Heather and a comment from Colby, and then we got Peppermint Patty sitting there. I'm sorry, Peppa Patty. Is it Peppa Patty or Peppermint? Which do you prefer?
It's Peppa, like Peppa Pig. We discussed it.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking her.
Oh, jeez.
No, Peppa Pig is fine.
Calm down. I
Okay.
didn't realize it was that time of the month. I'm sorry.
It's his heavy day.
Wow.
Well, one cool point that was brought up during the seminar was talking about women in cigars, and it was really cool to hear their passion for it, because Fuente's one where they give a lot of credit to the fact that a majority of their rollers are female, and a lot of their cigars are influenced by females, and they really it was cool to see it spotlighted. And there is a significant amount of women here, which I think is awesome. It's really just nice to see that it's all branching out, and it's not just the same fat old guys anymore, I guess would be the easy way to put it.
Chichingo takes offense to that, okay?
I have more hair than you, so you wouldn't know.
Oh, you actually have more hair than me, but that's because I shaved mine. So
I know.
does it count?
Yeah, but people shave their head for a reason. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. The way I look at
Yeah.
it was God looked down upon me and said it would not be fair for a man this good looking to have hair and be tall. We got to level the playing field.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, fantastic, man.
Yeah, so I hear there's some benefits to be had from having your face on your T-shirt. Can you lend any credence to that?
Yeah, it was cool. I had some people actually, like, oh, hey, I listened to your show, and, came up to me, and they're not part of our normal group that we hear from. They're not Pittsburgh locals. It was nice to see, the junkies are out there, man.
You want to give any shout-outs on that regard?
Craig at cigarcraig.com. He was the first one to come up to me and mention it. I've actually had two others since then, but they were passing by, just shake hands. Hey, like the show rolled on. So, but yeah, Craig at Cigar Craig. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Sounds awesome, man. So what's your itinerary look like for the rest of the trip up there? What do you got going on over the next couple of days?
Tomorrow is going to be Chaos Day, so my goal is to hit pretty much every booth and basically get a hold of, do quick just stop and grabs and find out what the deals are, and
I've been
just do quick.
Sitting with my finger on that button for 5 minutes, Sam.
That's what she said.
Hey, touche.
No, I'm going to try and hit as many of the booths and find out what their event-only deals are, and take them back to my room and probably stay up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, assessing my buy list, and then actually doing meetings on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, and it's really just going to be a lot of meet and greet, shaking hands. I have a video that I'm plotting that I haven't talked to Corey about yet that you guys will see on the Junkies page. So far, I've gotten some of the footage I need for it, but it's going to be a fun one.
Well, that sounds all very exciting, buddy, and I'm sure that you want to spend as much time as you can in the environment and soaking it up. Just remember what I told you earlier. Make sure that you don't lose focus of where you're at and you're living the dream, and take a minute to soak it all in and enjoy it, and then you can get your ass back to stressing.
Hey, I have one question for you, Sam. You mentioned event-only deals. Does that mean like basically you basically have a purchase order for that particular cigar while you're there? Is that what that means? I assume.
From my understanding, yeah, that's basically it. So, as long as you make the purchase here, you can get it, And it's not necessarily that it's like a lot of those cigars are going to be like you can only buy them at the PCA event. I'll do my best to get as many of those recorded and on Just the Tips page or on Just the Junkies page. Sorry, I keep going back and forth between wearing 3 hats today. But yeah, so I'll get as much of that on the Just the Tip page. Or damn it, there we go again. Let me try, backtrack, start over, take a breath. On the Junkies page, as many of those things as I possibly can, so you guys know what to watch out for, to know what's coming on from PCA. And just I'm going to try and post that as much of that as I can to both the Junkies and to PCC for any of those people as well.
Just do me a favor, and when it comes time to pay the bill, make sure you use the Just the Tip account and not the Junkies page. Let's keep the dyslexia to a minimum when that comes up, all right?
Yeah. You don't want me paying through the Junkies, huh?
Yeah.
No, as a matter of fact, I've got cigars for you here from a certain order that we placed for a future show.
I'm excited.
They're here, baby.
Yeah, man.
They are here.
Yeah,
I don't know how you could be out there and not like buy every cigar you see. Just
Well,
sheer
because
excitement.
otherwise he would have to not come home to his wife, is what I would guess.
I feel like if you bought one of everything being offered here, you would probably be, I'm going to say upwards of $5 million, just as a rough guess.
Do you think there's 5 million cigars up there? Or no, you said every. So let's say about 500,000. I could give that to you.
Choose
And I'm-
wisely, my
and
friend.
I'm okay with you spending $5 million on cigars to bring home. I'm really okay with that, Sam.
You don't mind, huh?
No,
Doesn't bother
not
you
at
at
all.
all?
Doesn't bother me either.
She told me that her biggest concern is making sure that you buy anything that's got a piggy on the band.
Yes.
We have standards.
If I see anything piggy, I'll do my best to get it for you.
All right, Sam. Well, I'll let you run. You want to go ahead and do your Kermit close off? You got any, like on the scene reporter dialogue practice for signing off here?
Right before that, I'm going to touch on these comments because they're kind of directed at me. Sean, I do, in fact, kiss hands and shake babies. It's something I'm known for. My 3 survived, so, there's some tough ones out there. We'll be good. And then Seth, the 3-2-1. I've never heard that one before. 3 hours of sleep, 2 hot meals, 1 hot shower. I feel like that's where I'm at already, and the fun hasn't really started yet.
I'm good for the 3 S's.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing to try and get away with that one.
Yes.
All right, buddy. We'll go have some fun, spend some money, and bring us back something awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll try and bring back something special. Hello, Carol. I don't know that I know Carol, but hello, Carol.
Carol works with us. She's
Yes,
one of
Carol.
our fellow squirrels.
Yes. Hi, Carol. And hi, Heather. I hope you're still on.
Fellow squirrels.
Look at you.
I don't even want to know.
Look at you guys out there doing the Lord's work. It just makes me so happy to see it.
There you go.
This is Just the Tip Cigars live from PCA 2022, giving you guys just the tip. You guys have a beautiful day, huh?
Have fun with Miss Piggy tonight.
Bye, Sam.
Salud, y'all.
Did you see that you have 2 other guests here?
I did not. I can't see any of that. That's why you're keeping the eye on.
No.
Oh, you talking about those guys? Yeah. I figured they would end up being somewhere. I actually told Sam when we were making the artwork design to advertise this week's. I said if you can find a picture of them, you might want to squeeze them in there. But I don't know if that came to pass. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention.
I sent him the pictures he asked for, but he didn't tell me what he wanted them for, so I could have posed them into the pictures.
Blackmail, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess it depends on what pictures you sent. Well, anybody that's missing Sam here right now, I could just tell you make sure you check in with us next week because I'm sure he's going to have all kind more information about PCA. Obviously, things are just starting to get heated up there, and he's not going to get into any real news or exciting information until tomorrow. So you can look forward to seeing all kinds of information, hearing the behind-the-scenes stuff, finding out what it's like for the beginner getting in there for the first time, and we'll get you guys updated with all of that next week. But in the meantime...
What news, everyone? What about waffles?
What?
I said, what about waffles?
Yeah, not real good at transitions. We'll give you the waffles after we give you the news.
Right.
It is time for the news of the week, brought to you by Tom's Penworks. As a cigar smoker, you appreciate luxury. As a premium cigar smoker, you appreciate handmade craftsmanship. And as a customer of Tom's Penworks, you'll appreciate the selection of custom-made limited production products that you can show off to your friends. From handmade pens, pencils, bottle openers, cigar cases, and now custom order rings, Tom will create something special for you or your loved one. Visit him on the web at etsy.com/shop/Tom's Penworks. And as always, Tom's is spelled with a T and an H because he's special and different, and Works is spelled with an X. So get on there and find yourself something special to make you happy. First thing on the news this week is actually a happy bit of news. So mostly we've had cigar releases. This comes to us straight from the legal field, where the FDA regulations for the cigar industry are currently on hold. Judge Amit P. Mehta of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia issued an opinion concluding that the FDA acted arbitrarily and capriciously when it decided to regulate premium cigars in 2016. The opinion of the judge does not mean the FDA will not regulate cigars, but it does create some breathing room for the industry and gives hope for that possibility in the future. If nothing else, I certainly hope for all our brothers and sisters in the cigar family out there that maybe we can catch some leeway with the actual date for the predicate date for anybody that's come out with sticks since then, or for substantial equivalents, all of that stuff. I feel very strongly about it. I think it's a load of BS, and I hope that we get some relief from this ruling. Next up, Seth Jones will be interested in this one if he doesn't already know, which I'm sure he does.
Yes, for sure.
Ferry Ortega will celebrate a decade of the Timeless blend with the Timeless 10 years. The limited edition smoke comes in one size, the Robusto Grande, which measures 5 3/4 long by 54 ring gauge. It'll be on display this weekend at the PCA trade show, so we'll have to ask Sam about it next week. The cigars are being rolled by the same family that was there when the brand was born, Caseta Cigars in the Dominican Republic. The production will be limited to 2,500 boxes, each with 10 cigars. Finally, last on the list here, La Flor Dominicana has a new line and a new blender. Lido Gomez Jr. is showing off his first cigar blend this year at the PCA. Solace is a one-size brand made with an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, Ecuadorian binder, and a mix of Dominican tobaccos from La Flor's farm in La Canela. The cigar measures 6.5 by 50. LFD, I would imagine a brand that you would be pretty hot on.
Oh, yeah.
You like the stronger sticks. Yeah?
Exactly, yeah.
You look like a digger man.
Yeah, I like the Digger, but actually I like the double Harrows are all pretty good too. But yeah.
Well, they make the digger in a double Harrow, do they not?
Yes, they
is the
do.
digger the size?
Yeah, but you don't see the Digger as much as you see the double Harrows. I think it's probably a supply thing. Apparently they have a patent on that particular design.
The size. It doesn't surprise me. I know they have the patent on the chisels
Yeah.
design as well. And obviously, even well before they got Cigar of the Year with the Andalusian Bull, they always had limited amounts of production available. So lots of places are always trying to keep stock of LFD, but a popular brand and one that I appreciate as well. So I'll be interested to see what this new blend's going to be. I'm curious to see if he goes the traditional LFD route, if it's going to be stronger in your face, or if it's going to be a little bit more mild. I've always been very partial to the Lennox, which we smoked on the show pretty recently.
Well, did you smoke the Bull?
I did.
I think that's actually, again, this is my opinion, but I actually felt that was more mild than the other cigars we were talking about.
Well, the biggest problem I have is I picked it up before it became Cigar of the Year, and I may have had it once afterward. The problem is, once you reach that level of notoriety, it becomes almost impossible to get a hold of.
Right.
So, as far as that goes, it's hard to get back in there. I don't know what Sam's just shot me a text message saying that the show is paused. I'm not sure if he's talking about the live stream or what, but everything's going fine on my end, so I'm
Yeah.
going to ignore him as I generally do.
Yeah, it's running on my phone as well. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably just got that Las Vegas service. I'm sure that it's like $15.99 a minute out there or something like that. Which
Now,
is,
I was wondering about that when we came over because I've heard horror stories of your internet over here. So I was wondering if our phones would be working.
well,
And they are.
so the first show that we tried to do live streamed, first of all, the camera system that we used is called the Mevo Start by Logitech. And I'm really happy with this camera. It's easy to use once you have it set up, but it's designed to work with multiple cameras. And so there's two different apps available for it. And the first time that I used it, I got the multicam app because my intention was to get more than one eventually anyways. It allows you to just touch back and forth on the different screens and shoots it right to your live stream. And that was what we were using. Now, I'm not sure if we just had a ridiculous demand on the Wi-Fi that day and that was what was causing our issues, or if it was because of the fact that we were using the multicam app. But I've since we only have one camera, switched to the single camera app. And since then, I haven't had much issue. We did have some over at Smoke when we tried to get on their Wi-Fi out on location. But again, you don't know how many people or how many pieces of equipment are utilizing that Wi-Fi. So it's kind of difficult to determine what's going on there, right? So once we got on to Sam's hotspot, it was fine. So ever since then, it hasn't been anything we've had to worry about too bad. Haven't had too many issues until we got into the, well, obviously we got into the issues with the audio today, but I think that was the fault of my new cable.
So Sam's hotspot is popular with large groups.
Sam's hotspot is popular with all the boys. It is the milkshake that brings them to the yard.
Oh.
So, yeah, drop 2 devices. Sam, I don't know what you're dropping, but we can at least add the spilled. We're going to call it the Spilled Donkey Club,
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah.
So, Chichingo will keep you company in there as the infamous people who have spilled the ever popular Donkey
it could
Punch
be the
on the
seat,
show.
because isn't that where Sam
It's his
sits all the time?
coaster, Sam. Don't take offense if you had the same problem.
Yeah, I don't know if we could blame Sam's on the coaster because he knocked that cup about 5 feet.
Oh, well, I haven't done that yet.
He sent that thing sailing.
Wow.
Apparently, whenever he swipes on his iPad, he does it like this. He's doing, I think he's still reminiscing about the disco days. He's trying to
geez,
stay
I
alive
miss.
with the Bee Gees.
You know, I'm so glad that never came back popular. That's just sad stuff, man. Sad.
I bet you Sam could do a really good staying alive.
I'd like to see him in the high tops with the goldfish and the boots.
Oh yes,
And the big bell bottom like the white suit, like you always see the Fry from Futurama in the memes. I think Sam could rock that look pretty good. Kind of like white trash Elvis.
I think everybody should write in and say, what would we like to see Sam dressed in? Wouldn't that be good?
Costume of the week.
Yes.
Yeah. What's in Sam's closet?
That's
or
right.
is he ready to come out of it?
Yes.
There's a lot of potential there. Sam, I think we're making some real progress here with you gone, buddy.
And that's
Yeah.
great because you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
argue with us. This is fine.
Yeah. I mean, we can integrate that into the Chichingo challenge. And, maybe you either have to drink what's offered or you have to wear whatever they decide to dress you in. That's it. It's Chichingo's challenge. You drink his pickle juice or Patty gets to dress you.
Yes. Or you could, honestly, Sam, you could still wear any of the outfits you have for your furry conventions. We don't care.
I hear he's a cricket.
Yeah, I was looking at the news
Which
feeds.
is weird. How many furry crickets have we seen?
I was looking at the furry news feeds, and I was looking for you, Sam. I really was.
The furry cricket. There's all kinds of interesting, intriguing things happening. And,
Yeah, he's having all kind of problems. over
he's
there.
just struggling.
He's knocking his drink over. The ashes are going everywhere. It's like he's never smoked before.
I think I'm going to paint that chair the
Golly
struggle
sakes.
bus. The
Yes.
struggle bus, it's going to be known as. For anybody that's not sure about it, I usually keep this garage very clean. It's very clean for a garage.
Yes,
I
it
would
is.
say that you walk in and you go, oh, wow, this is cleaner than you would expect it to be. And then you get Sams and Chichingos of the world to come in and make it so you have to clean up tomorrow.
Yes.
And he's serious because I came in, there were two mice eating off of fine china.
Mickey and Minnie, you know.
Hey, at least the rats were gone. I caught one of them last night there. It's taken care of. It's not a big deal. So before we move into the next tent pole of the show here, I do have some, typically when I interview people, I try to ask them non-cigar questions because you get cigar personalities in here like we had Dave and Chris Weber. You get asked the same stuff over and over again. But this is kind of a unique situation for you guys. So first of all, I'm going to start with you, Peppa Patty. Were you into cigars before Chichingo, or was that a package deal that you were like, I'm into cigars and I'm into Chichingo?
this
Be
is-
honest.
This is such a very shameful story. It really is.
Talking to your microphone.
Why am I not surprised?
It is. It is absolutely shameful. So my brother is a chain smoker, and I hung out with him a lot, and so I needed something to do. So I started smoking crisscross.
Makes
they
you
were-
jump, I hear.
Yeah, it was $1.50 a pack. So I had like
Didn't spill.
tons of them, and that's all I smoked. And then I went to a party, and
Crisscross, is that a cigar or is it a cigarette? Because I don't know.
It's a cigar that looks like a cigarette. So
yeah,
you tell me what it
it's
really
like a
is.
wannabe. It's
Okay.
mostly chemicals wrapped up in a round.
So is it like a
thing.
Swisher kind of deal? Is
Yeah,
it
it's like a
small
swi-
like that?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
a Swisher thing. It
Swisher
comes
would be
in
an upgrade.
a pack, like a cigarette pack.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, so 10 of them for $1.50. I loved it because I'm cheap.
Fair.
And so I went to a party, and I always relate much better with the men than the women. So all the women are in there yakety yak yak yak, and I went outside with the guys that were smoking. And this guy was here. Wasn't really too much into him right then, but he was smoking, so I said, yeah, I can handle that.
What's this 12-year-old boy doing at this party?
And you know what? I didn't like him, and I wasn't going to get involved with him because he was too young for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I blew him off totally. Like, I don't train children. I want a man. So, but he
Fortunately,
had a
she
cigar.
does train men.
Yes, I do.
Fortunately.
So he had a cigar, and he gave it to me, and I'm much more of a food person, so I relate flavors of cigars to food.
And by the way, it was the Cuban Quintero Favorita.
My very first real cigar was a freaking Cuban cigar.
Okay.
So it was a big jump from crisscross
There you
to
go.
Cubans. And I tasted, yeah. So what do you get, and what kind of flavor profile? I'm like, what the heck is this idiot talking about? Whatever. So I s- no, it tastes very like an acid taste, acidic.
Okay.
So I said it tasted like goat cheese. Therefore, that name became the goat cheese cigar, and
Yeah.
it became our cigar favor for our wedding. Everybody that came got a Cuban cigar, along with many, many others.
And you get a goat cheese, and you get a goat cheese.
Everybody gets a goat cheese.
Yeah.
All right.
I've never heard that before, but I brought that up as a flavor anytime at
you
live
hear
tastings.
leather, you hear, all these other things, cocoa, vanilla, whatever. I come up with freaking goat cheese.
There you go.
And all the guys who were serious smokers were like, psh, and left. And poor David's like, man, I have to stay around and talk to this knucklehead now because I invited her out and gave her one.
There you go. All right. Well, that's interesting.
You
That's
forgot
interesting.
to tell them how you smoked your crisscross. I think that's actually a good story
Well,
on its
I
own
wouldn't
right.
Did you
very-
smoke it underwater?
No.
No, I wanted to be very classic and very feminine.
All right.
So I connected with my inner Audrey Hepburn
Oh, okay.
and had a 8-inch cigar or a cigarette holder of
There
cherry.
you go. See, I call that the Cruella de Vil.
Okay. But it was incredible. And I smoked the cherry flavored. So the cherry flavor with the cherry wood, it sucked all that flavor in. And to this day, to take a draw just on that wood, it still smells incredible and tastes great.
That's pretty cool. So, Chichingo, we know that you were her entry. What was yours?
Into cigars?
Yes, sir.
That's actually a pretty funny story. First of all, I grew up with my dad smoking cigars. He would smoke cigars whenever he was mowing the lawn or in the car. We went to my aunt's house for Christmas. It was the things you smoked at the time. It was like your White Owls, King Edwards, Phillies. So anyhow, though, how I got into it, it was back in the fall, November of '94, and I was the supervisor of my pharmacy fraternity. And in any case, my chapter, which was Pitt, invited the Duquesne chapter invited my chapter at Pitt to go up. Every fall they had reserved a big cabin in the mountains of Uniontown.
Okay.
And it can hold, and they got this huge cabin. It can hold 30 people in it. Anyhow, that night there was a problem. It was a weird November, dropped to 17 degrees, which was really cold. And then there was a problem in the cabin with the fireplace was broken. We couldn't use it, so it was really cold. So a lot of us basically opted, instead of going in there, just stay around the fire all night, keep it burning. We literally were dragging trees out of the woods, let it burn, and pull some more in. So anyhow, cold, really, really cold. And one of the girls from the Duquesne chapter, her name was Angela, I still remember that, she comes up to me and says, Dave, you want a cigar? And she was smoking like Phillies Titans. I never smoked a cigar in my life. All I could think of was cigar, fire, burning, warm, good. So I tried it, and it actually wasn't too bad. So I started smoking cigars, those things, not often, more like my dad, like I was driving in the car, or like when we were at the fraternity, we had an event, a social event, I was smoking them outside. Well, one of my fraternity brothers, his name was Brett, he got sick and tired of me smoking those Phillies Titans. So he, for Christmas that year, the chapter got me an engraved Zippo lighter with a fraternity crest on it, and he gave me 5 Macanudo Portofinos.
Okay.
And in any case, so after later night, we went out on the porch and just smoked cigars. And so he's there, he's getting a cigar out, and I'm looking. I take it out of the tube, and I'm looking at it and looking at it. And Brett looks at me and says, "What's wrong?" I says, "Brett, I appreciate these all, but I'm sorry to tell you, these cigars you got are broken."
No hole in it.
Yeah. He said, "What do you mean broken?" I said, "There's no hole." He says, "You have to cut them." And that's where I had my first real cigar. And I have to say that when I first tried that cigar, I pretty much preferred the Phillies Titan over the Macanudo Portofino. But after that, I branched out. We had at the time in Roseville Mall, had a tinderbox store. And then I went in there and I discovered the world of cigars. And
Oh, yeah. I hope you went back to him at some point and said, you don't light your cigar with a Zippo.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that either at the time. And
No.
quite honestly, I don't think I ever actually ever used that. But back in those days, I hadn't discovered torches yet, and they weren't really as widely.
Yeah, we weren't prevalent.
Yeah,
yet,
really,
right?
they weren't prevalent. And I would try to light cigars with a Bic lighter. I remember
Burn your thumb off.
Yeah, I went to one of our conventions, was in Myrtle Beach, and I wanted to smoke a cigar on the beach. And trying to do that with a Zippo lighter, forget it. It's just it just doesn't work.
For sure.
But it was fun, just trying it. And one of my cool story that once I first started, it was actually in the spring of 95 now. when I'm getting more into cigars, I'd actually gotten some of the original Opus X's that the Tinderbox had. I smoked my first Opus X cigar on a riverboat in New Orleans.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that was like, you think, wow, the world can't get any better when you do something like that.
So I
love
know
the
you got
fact-
a big dome. I'm not sure if you're worried about your hair. Speaking of which, by the way, Seth Jones says, Patty, wait, everything comes back around. He'd rock an afro if his follicles would cooperate. And I agree with that. I do
Yes.
anything with my hair if I can have some. But just so you know, I know your dome's a little large, but these headphones will extend if you want to go up over the top. If you're interested in preserving your hair gel, you do you. But I saw him starting to sag there.
Yeah,
And,
you know what? You know that he did that on purpose. They're not falling. He is just
He's
special.
showing off. He's
yeah,
showing off.
He does
Yeah.
not handle messing up his hair well.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
I
screw you.
don't, really.
I remember
It's so
those
sad.
days. I miss my hair so much.
I think it's really
have-
cool that the great David Maskowitz was introduced to cigars by a woman.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So here's a question. So she calls you Dave. How many people do you find calling you Chichingo now? Because I know of at least one that I've converted to referring. I don't know if she does it in person now, but I know that I converted Heather into calling you Chichingo in casual conversation. So is it catching on anywhere?
No, she still calls me Dave. The only people that call me Chichingo is you and Sam.
Yeah.
Because
Well, you wait.
I've got, my real name obviously is Dave. And then I have, my nickname is Ringo because my Facebook page says Ringo David Maskowitz.
Much more people call him
So
Ringo.
Ringo in the cigar world is more like is what people call me more than Dave, to be honest with you. But Chichingo, they sort of have a monopoly on it so far. Nobody's actually called me that.
It'll catch on.
I haven't called myself that yet either.
So my dear family,
Yeah.
gotta love him, really do believe his name is Ringo.
Oh, yeah?
Like, that's not his real name. His name is Dave. His dog is Ringo. Oh, I thought his real name was Ringo. And they obviously don't know the, whatever of looking at his last name. Because when we got married, everybody thought he was Jewish. I said, really? Just look at him. He
Oy
doesn't
vey.
look Jewish. He's way Polish. I mean, come on, people.
Yes, I am Polish, very Polish.
I don't judge. I don't know. I've never
I
been
don't know
good
how
at
they
that.
got that. His name's Ringo, and he's
I'm a
Jewish.
mutt. I'm a mutt. I associate with the Scottish side a little bit more, but I am a mutt at heart. Well, whatever your names are and whatever people call you, you guys are the best representation I can think of what I love about the cigar world. We talk about it all the time, that it's the people that you meet, the conversations that you have, the personalities that are out there. And you guys are a perfect representation of that because you are as generous with this hobby as anybody else that I've ever encountered. And you give a lot of yourselves and a lot of your money into sharing it with other people. And I just want to point out that I recognize that, and I'm sure lots of other people do too. And you guys do an excellent job of representing what I think this industry is all about. So thank you for that. And that's a big part of why you guys are here right now is because from the very moment that I met you, anything you have, you're willing to share. And,
We take it personally if somebody mentions a cigar that, oh, yeah, I like this one. If we don't have it to give to you, that's like personal to us. Like, oh my goodness, we didn't have that cigar to give to him. We take it very personal.
And she carries around a cartoon-like humidor. She's always got a one of those like comedian goodie
Yeah,
bags
yeah.
where she'll reach into a 1-foot bag and pull out a 6-foot sandwich. But cigars, and they carry a freaking 20-gallon barrel humidor. I don't even know how big that freaking thing is. It's massive.
It's amusing and really funny that David never went around to cigars, lounges,
That's
or
true.
events. He hardly ever went to a lounge before he met me.
So you brought him out of his shell.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, there's way more to this. There's events. There's this. There's that. There's this person. Do you know this owner? And he's like, oh, my goodness. He had no idea. He never ventured
And
out.
that's the truth, because really the only lounge I went to in those days, and going there mainly to purchase cigars, was smoker friendly back then.
It was In and Out, too.
That was
I didn't
actually
even
when they
say.
were in Wilkins Township before they moved to where they are. And I'd go in, if ever I smoked in the lounge, I'd go early, where it was just me. I don't know what it was. I wasn't trying to be antisocial, but I just never got into the whole group thing. And then once I met her, we really got into it.
She said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it all the way.
Do you
Yeah.
want to know what really changed a lot for us, though, even in the last few years? And the strangest thing is because we had one main lounge. It was smoker friendly. We had a group of friends, and we had our first couple parties there. My groom's party was our first party in May of 19. But then when COVID hit, and then after that, smoker friendly didn't open up their lounge for a while, and then they had reduced hours, and that basically caused us to get out and really go to try new lounges and meet people, and we feel so fortunate right now because there's a number of lounges. Anytime we walk in, we're family. I mean, Dave at Leaning House, it's like he always says it's like he's happy anytime we can. He's happy that we come out there, and it's not an imposition. Yeah, it's about a 45-minute drive, but we love it. Tim at Dirty Dogs.
And that's
Superior.
something we run into, that people get stuck in one lounge and they don't realize there's so much more out there. Not that we support brick and mortar absolutely wholeheartedly.
Oh,
We do
for sure.
everything we can to support everything there. But a lot of people just get stuck with their one place, smoking their one cigar, and they're robbing themselves of an incredible opportunity to branch out.
Oh, for sure.
And I think if people stepped out just a little bit of their comfort zone to go to an event, to go to a different lounge, to go to anything, you're going to get hooked. And you're going to want to go to more and more and more,
100%. 100%. I don't even know who that call was. I just got a little vibrating buzzing going on over there.
So,
all right, Seth Jones, we'll talk to you later, buddy. We appreciate you chiming in as you always do.
yes, Seth.
So here's what I want to know. How'd you guys become junkies? Because you guys were around since the very first show. So how'd you find us? Was that through PCC?
No.
Through Sam. And
Through
Trina.
Sam at the shop?
We met Sam
Okay.
because a lot of times we go there Saturday, and we met Sam because he was working the Saturday shift. So we found out about it, got in on the ground floor, and we loved it from the beginning. It's
Yeah,
just
we had what three or four shows out, I guess, whenever I met you guys, because that would have been the Valentine's Day party
Right.
over at Pittsburgh Cigar
Polish Hill.
Alliance. Yeah,
And your guys' podcast is the only podcast he listens to.
that's very cool, and it's quite a compliment. But I remember coming in and Sam being like introducing me to you guys, and hey, I love the podcast. He's like, yeah, they're fans of the show, and I'm like, we have fans? Like, we have 10 listeners a week, other than the people that listen just to be nice the first time and stuff. And it was that was kind of a really cool moment. That my drive home, I was like, so I'm kind of realizing my ambition in life to my wife. This is I'm like Tim the Toolman Taylor. This is I got a little show, and like 2 people recognize me in public and stuff. This is kind of an interesting, unique experience that I hadn't considered would be a part of what we're doing. But then, like I said, Sam's getting recognized 3 minutes in the PCA.
That is amazing.
And granted, I mean, there are people, but now for anybody that wants to argue that putting our faces on the T-shirt was a bad idea, I submit to you, item
They were
1.
wrong. Yep.
I never said that to be. Just on
No.
record, I was not one of the people that ever said that.
Oh, no, I wasn't accusing.
No,
but,
I know that, but I'm just
there are
saying,
people
I-
out there going like, you're going to wear a shirt with your face on it? It's like, yeah, why not? Like, let's put it on there. It'll be fun. It'll be goofy. It'll be a conversation starter. And, because of that, Sam's making connections out there over in the Sin City. So hopefully that's all he comes back with is connection and cigars. But,
There's always penicillin.
There's antibiotics.
Yes.
They've made a lot of strides in the medical world. Hopefully he doesn't come home with the monkeypox. But other than that,
He might come up with a few monkeys. You never know.
that's all. He's already got a few at home.
Yeah.
he got
Oh, that's
3 of them. As a
Oh,
matter
that's
of fact. So he's already pretty busy and tied up there. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the events this week. There's not many, but we'll go ahead and cover them. And this week, the events are brought to you by Dave and Patty Productions. I don't know how you book a Dave and Patty production. I don't know if you pay them or they pay you, but I know they'll show up with cigars and probably set up a beer pong table at your establishment, and they will bring some excitement with them. Saturday, July 9th, which is actually going to be tomorrow, you can catch Norman Nardini at the Leaning House Fine Cigars for the 2022 Summer Deck Concert Series. Remember, as always, to make the house your home for premium cigars and premium entertainment. I say it all the time on this show, the the concerts that they have on that deck are an incredible experience. It is very cool. Some of the favorite shows that I've ever seen have been on that deck just because the environment is so much different than what you would expect. Wednesday, July 13th, we have the Drew Estate Cut and Light at Nelson Lagusto's Cigars. There will be deals on Drew Estate cigars, raffles, and swag. And don't forget, because of the fact that they are an Aladino lounge and that they went on the trip and tour of the Aladino farm, they are one of the few places that you can actually get the Aladino Classic right now. After the PCA show, it will be distributed on a national level, and I'm hoping that somebody will get me one. God knows I smoke enough of their cigars. I was talking to somebody about that at work today. I says, man, it's absurd how much of their cigars I'm smoking. I'm going through 2.5, or not 2.5, but at least 1.5 boxes per month, if not 2, of the vintage selection. That's a box of 50 cigars. And so I start doing the math and go, that means I'm smoking 75 of these things a month, which is like 2 1/3 a day.
There
That's
aren't
a
too
lot
many
of cigars.
boxes that come in 50 counts.
No. And, you know, I like them. I love them. I'm going to keep smoking them whether they give me anything or not. And you know, the Roas have been very kind to me in the past. But, again, get that cigar in my hands so I can share it with the world. And maybe we'll get some more boxes sold. Third and final on our list is going to be Friday, or as I typed, Fur, July the 15th. Maybe that has something to do with the furry convention.
Yes.
That's clearly a Freudian slip.
Furry cricket.
It better not be.
We have the Drew Estate Barn Smoker event in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, which these two clowns here are going to, from my understanding.
Yes.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
hop online and grab your tickets if they're still available and get a chance to hang out with some of your favorite industry celebrities. Or, as I mentioned, you could get Chichingo and Peppa Pig to sign your boobs or something, you know? It'd be a good time. I'm sure you'll have fun. Wish I could make it out there. Unfortunately, I do have some things to keep myself busy with around here, but I'm sure you have a great time. What are you guys looking forward to about that event?
Spending time with Jonathan. We really enjoy getting to talk to him. We've met him on several occasions. We've given him special cigars that he's not had in his wheelhouse, and that shocks me. Like, you own your company. You should have, like, any cigar of anything you want. And for us, little us, to give him something he doesn't have and got excited about blew my mind.
We gave him 5 clear Havanas.
Well, the thing is, too, you have to remember is that those people, a lot of the time, they're focused on selling their brand.
Yeah.
And as much as they may not be in a monogamous relationship with cigars and they will jump around, you know, when you're being seen in public, a lot of times you want to be seen smoking one of your cigars.
Of course, absolutely.
So they don't get a chance to branch out maybe as much as an average cigar consumer would. So that's cool that you were able to share something with them and kind of, you know, connect on that level.
But besides that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a barn smoker. Because especially those of you that are in this area, you know, I know, Seth, you dropped off and you're quite a bit away, but you actually have an option there too in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. But the Drew Estate Barn Smokers.
I think Seth's in New England.
Is he? Oh, that's
Connecticut,
right. I'm sorry.
Connecticut, yeah.
Seth. If you happen to get-
But Connecticut, there's one in
There
Connecticut
is. There's
too.
the Connecticut barn smoker. But let me tell you what the actual barn smoker is. And I highly recommend, if you can ever make it out, you really ought to try. You really ought to try to go, because it's really an experience that once you've gone to one, you want to go back. See, basically what it is they normally have a Friday. If you get the higher grade tickets, you can get the Friday night pre-party, which basically is a nice, more intimate dinner setting. And you're going to have, like, Jonathan Drew there. You're going to have Willie Herrera. Gomez is going to be there. And, you know, and you always have a great, the food is amazing. And then on Saturday, you know, first of all, you're going to get some amazing swag, whether you get the general admission or the VIP. Really nice swag, which everybody loves. Let's face it. We love the stuff. Whether we need it or not, we want it.
Oh, we don't need it, but we have to have
Yes,
it.
that's
the
exactly it. You know,
that's probably the most apt description of that. Come off the top of my head, and I'm like, wow, that is the truest way I think I could have ever described it. I don't need it, but I have to have it.
Exactly. So you're going to get your fill there. And then the cool thing is, what do they do? They have these huge tents set up, and when I say tents, they're like
a wedding reception tent.
Wedding
that big.
receptions, but they have 4 of them.
I hear it's intense.
So you can get like 500 people in there, and basically what they do is that they're going to divide the group up into three groups, and one of them is going to go out into to the fields where they're going to take you from the planting to the harvesting of the tobacco plants, and they're going to give you so much of the background and all that, and so. After you go there, you're going to go to another rotation where basically now you're going to go to the barns, and that's where they start to dry and cure the tobaccos. We've gone to two PA barn smokers so far, which is in Strasburg, as we just mentioned here, and we've gone to the Hopkinsville, the Kentucky barn smoker, where they actually fire cure the tobacco that's used in the Kentucky Fire Cure, the KFC cigars.
And the people.
Not a big fan of that cigar personally, but I do love Kentucky Fire Cured tobacco.
And the only bad thing about that is because they take you in the barns there, where they actually have in the barns, they have pits with the fires.
Yeah.
Not only do you get to learn how they make it, they literally turn you into one. So by the time you leave, you better put your clothes in some other bag that you wore, because
Everybody.
You ever wake up after a night of drinking by a campfire and you smell your clothes and you're like, whew.
It took me 3 or 4 days of washing my hair to get that smell out of my hair.
I bet.
And
I don't have that
permeated
problem.
everything.
Not an issue for me.
And the funny thing about that is, once you've been to that, if anybody's smoking a KFC, you're going to know it, because you never forget that smell. So anyhow, then in the last one in PA, that's really great. It's the blending. And there, of course, Willie Herrera, who's one of the major blenders for right now for Drew Estate, he takes you behind the blending scene. How do you blend cigars? And how do you select the tobacco leaves? How does he go about doing that? What's the process? You get all this information. And the cool thing about it is they have that in PA. They also have the brewmaster from Yingling.
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
talks
that's cool.
about how...
You can see I'm a fan.
Right. So you actually get to... He talks about how the blending in making beer is so similar to what you're doing in cigars. So that's why they have him and Willie talking about it at the same time, because so much of what they do shares a lot of principles. And it's just a great experience. And then because they have a huge barbecue, they started doing something where you go to different stations to learn even more about something, and you get a cigar at each station. And by the way, they lavishly, you get cigars from this, that, and everything else. Plus,
They're always giving you cigars.
you get to pay $10 when you go in to get the box of cigars, but you're going to get cigars you can't get anywhere else, like a Liga A. It's just an experience.
It's just like hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
If anybody out there doesn't believe me, this is the goodie bag that they brought me today for being on the show. They're doing me a favor, and they come with bags full of cigars. Their generosity has no bounds.
You don't know how it troubles us in our very bone marrow that you run out of cigars.
Well,
It traumatizes us.
The thing is, you could give me... Listen, you know that I smoke at least 75 cigars a month. Plus, I got 5 in another package that takes me to 84 per show. So I guarantee I'm smoking at least 84 cigars a month. You could give me another 100, and I probably still wouldn't be able to save cigars in the humidor, because the problem is I've had it full. What happens is if I got them, I'm going to smoke them. I'm not much for holding on to them and saving them. Maybe someday. I'm hoping that maybe this show will be a vessel for that. If anybody out there is interested in securing, having us for a sponsorship, we can always put a nice big cabinet humidor back behind me. But the problem with that is, again, we'd have to put cardboard cutouts of cigars in there or something, because chances are it'd still be
The
empty.
chocolate ones.
But again, there's a lot of people out there at the PCA dying to get their samples into people's hands. Somebody gives us a humidor, we'll stick them in there, and we could do it that way. But unfortunately, I would probably need to get another income to be able to hold on to cigars here. But that is the dream. I'm hoping someday I hit the lottery, and my next house, I will have a custom built walk-in humidor. And if not, I could just go mooch off of Sam at his new fun establishment.
We're working on our house, and changing it from David's to ours. And we in our house actually have
Somebody said all the toys are going into the storage locker.
yes, unless I can sell them all.
No, they're not.
We have 2 living rooms. So one of the living rooms is actually going to be converted into like a lounge area.
Hell yeah.
And what we do is we try to collect as many signatures of the owners that we have.
Yeah.
And there are very few that we don't have.
I bet.
We are stalking
You
them.
guys are active.
Oh my goodness, we are stalking them like crazy. If we can drive, we will get that signature. But we have the box that they signed, plus a picture of us, and we're just going to put it all around the walls.
That's awesome. If
Yeah.
all else fails, you can always turn your garage into a smoking lounge.
Well, what's really cool about when you go, like we said, we travel a lot. We really do. And we like meeting these people, especially when they're at events. And that's another big opportunity, in case any of you guys haven't been out. When you know there's somebody going to be an event that's actually like the president or the owner of a company.
Go.
And yes, so many times that actually when you smoke that cigar now, it gives you more of a connection to the company. And
For sure.
It is, and it makes it more personal.
That made a big difference for me because I bought so many cigars at one event that I instantaneously created a relationship with the sales rep and ended up getting a box of cigars sent to me for Christmas signed by the owner of said company, which of course is Aladino Cigars because
Justin?
No, Trey.
Justo.
Justo signed it, sent it out to me, courtesy of Trey. And it's funny because, I'm out there almost helping sell the cigars with the one problem of I can't sell any of the vintage selections. Like I'm talking to all these people and going, oh, you need to try this, you need to try that. And realizing, oh no, I bought what was left of the vintage selection, so there's nothing for you to buy. So I guess try this one; it's good too.
Yeah.
And that's the
Have
thing.
you
I
met
love
Justo?
everything. Oddly enough, I met Justo before I ever had an Aladino cigar. So I went into Jernigan's over in the Galleria one
Okay.
day because that is the closest shop to here. And that was where I used to buy so many cigars from Kirill at Jernigan's that he gave me a Christmas card every year. And so the one day I go in there is the afternoon. There's like one guy working behind the counter. Kirill's in there, and there's some guy, talking to him. And hey, I'm Justo, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool, whatever. And it wasn't until the next time I was in there that I think that one of the kids, John, was like, hey, man, we just got these in. Try these. I was like, oh, yeah, I think I met that dude. He looked a little white for somebody that was kind of from Cuba. But all right, yeah. And immediately when I smoked that Aladino Corojo, it's like, oh, man, that's got a flavor that no other tobacco has. And I think that's what I liked about it. My palate is terrible. I can't pick up flavors 90% of the time. However, I do eat a lot of spicy food. I'm like Chichingo that way. And I think I've just got a leather tongue because of it, And that was something that just popped to me. And I was like, oh, this tastes different than anything else. This really jumps out as unique. And I got into the brand. But I did meet Justo and shook his hand the one day, not having any idea who he was or what his cigars would end up becoming for me. But yeah, I made a big enough impact with Trey Mack at that event that we've become pretty good friends since then. And I actually get text messages. I think the first time that Dave ordered the Aladino vintage selections for me, I got a text message from Trey going, hey, I just got an order for these cigars from Leaning House. Is that you? I said, yeah, how did you know? He's like, well, he doesn't usually buy these cigars, and it's Pittsburgh, and I know you buy more of them than anybody else, so I figured. And, yeah, that was the case. What are you going to do, man? I love
as
them.
many cigars and different cigars that we smoke, we still can't do the flavor profile that most of the world does. Oh, I can get this, I can get that. We just can't. We can say good or bad or strong.
I still can't get goat cheese.
Yeah, except for
Still
goat cheese.
trying.
You know,
That's gonna be on my bucket list. Get a goat cheese off of a cigar for the rest of my life.
I'll bring you Quintero. You
There
see,
you
you can find it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, there's things out there. There's a lot of different ways that people can teach you about it and train you to do it. And if you get into a little bit more of a realistic way of looking at it, a lot of people will tell you it's more about mouthfeel and what parts of the palate are activated by the cigar. So it's not necessarily that it tastes like this, but it's like, okay, I'm getting a similar sensation to whenever I eat this type of food. I feel like it's activating here, activating there, and you kind of got to use your imagination and put some effort into it. But 90% of the time, I still can't either. There is actually a board game that I would have already purchased, but it was like several $100s. And it's the Perfect Palate System or something like that. And it actually comes with a bunch of samples of different scents that are from all different parts of your palate, right? So that you can, and it's a board game that comes with it, so you can kind of start honing things in and sharpening your senses in terms of identifying flavors. And that was always very intriguing to me. But I don't think we have enough of those type of dinner parties that I could justify spending the $300 or whatever it was on it.
Yeah.
I can't retrohale either.
No.
No, and I love the
She
fact
can.
that I can.
I can't. But I did.
mock him all the time.
I learned on. I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube Cigar Obsession.
Oh, yeah.
I
Sweaty
learned
head guy.
Brian Glynn.
Brian Glenn. We call him Mr. Sweaty Head because
So the first cigar podcast I ever listened to was the Cigar Authority, but I got there branching off from Cigar Obsession. So whenever I really started getting into it, I was driving to Texas, and I would play through my work truck stereo the Brian Glynn Cigar Obsession videos on YouTube as an audio for me to listen to while I was driving to learn about cigars. And that's when I went, hey, I know podcasts are a thing. Let me see if I can find a cigar podcast, and branched in that way. But very useful, helpful education. We're planning on putting up videos on a YouTube channel soon, but ours are going to be real short. It's going to be like... Instead of covering the same stuff over and over again that the seasoned cigar smoker doesn't want to hear, but when you have a basic question, how do you cut a cigar? How do you light a cigar?
Right.
How do you store cigars? How do you troubleshoot lighters? Just do 2-3 minute videos on each topic so that it's readily available, and we'll be able to say, hey, if you're new and you have questions, we cover that here, so we don't have to go over it every week and you know.
And you'd be surprised of how many smokers don't know the basics.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I've seen it.
We were in Cigar International in Hamburg, which is a really cool place. It's a double layer. They have they have a upstairs lounge, downstairs. We actually saw in the ashtrays that I'm not exaggerating. Whoever was cutting their cigars was literally cutting off nearly 3/4 of an inch. Can you imagine that?
And it wasn't like one person.
It's
I
like-
mean, you shouldn't be allowed to buy a cigar.
Yeah, I'd
unless
slap
you
their
get,
hand and
like,
say, "You don't come
trained
back in here till you learn some basics."
You hear the stories from people that work at shops where I've heard, like we try to be good with customer service, and they'll bring it in and say, hey, this cigar unraveled on me. Can you replace it? And it's like, okay, we're going to try to be good. This is your fault, not ours. But we're going to go, okay, I'll replace it for you, but let me show you how to cut it, because we're not going to say it's your fault, but it's your effing fault.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and people get stuck in their ways, or some people just don't know. And we do want to make that information readily available to new people. But at the same time, like I said, you don't want to have the same information week after week, because then you lose the people that are already at a certain level and just interested to continue
well, we
the
learned something
conversation.
from you guys that we did not know.
What's that?
And it's when the cigar is burning uneven, instead of lighting
Instead
it
of
up,
flipping it over.
to flip it over.
Yeah.
Like, that can't actually work. And we did it. I'm like, oh my goodness, it works.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? It's
Yeah.
completely unintuitive. You would think it would be the other way around, hands
Right.
down. And that's probably why you get that burn, because you see it going and you go, okay, I'm going to put that end up top where the heat's going to get it. And then it just makes it worse.
Right.
I remember that blowing my mind when I found out about it, but it's 100% true.
I've been doing it
Everybody-
since we
yeah.
learned it. and it
Everybody
works.
can learn something. There's always more to learn.
For sure. And so I was in a cigar shop one time, and a guy comes in, grabs his cigar, still in the cello, and puts it in the community cutter, like the silver one that I have over there that has the
Yeah,
four
yeah,
different
yeah.
holes in it. Still in the cello, cuts it. And I said, hey, how come you cut that with the cellophane on? And he says, I don't know, just easier. Didn't have to take the cello off. Went and just jumped into it. It's just one less step.
Oy vey.
And I said, okay. Well, I started cutting my cigars like that. And I would still occasionally have problems when I'd pull the cello off and cut a cigar where I'd crack it on the cap, or I wouldn't get a great cut.
The idea to not
No,
cut
so
the wrapper.
he didn't have any ambition behind it. It was just what he went to out of convenience. But I decided to start doing it just kind of to see how it was. Because my thing is like the way I toast and light a cigar is not something I learned from one place. It's something that I learned from different places and put different things together before I decided what worked for me and what I liked. Well, so I decided to start doing that. And I'll tell you what, it has an effect on your cigar. If you cut it still in the cellophane, I think that have you ever seen anybody cutting a piece of trim wood, like board or something like that, with a hand saw or a power saw, and they'll put masking tape on it first?
Yeah.
Because it keeps the wood from splintering up, right? Yeah. Like it helps hold it down, hold it together. I think the cellophane works the same way whenever you're cutting a cigar. And I do it that way all the time. If I have a cello cigar, I cut it with the cello on. And I almost never, since I've started doing that, have I ever had an issue where I've cracked. I've had, where the cap will come off or it'll spiral a little bit, but I've never had the issue where I've actually split the end of the cigar.
So does it have any effect on your cutters? Does it dull the cutter going through the plastic?
No.
It won't with the Cigars, I know, because those blades are just too good.
You want to know what I use? I use a Vertigo cutter.
Yeah,
What's
I
this
saw
cost?
that.
$5.99. This works as well as any cutter I've ever owned. And they're $6. I've got piles of them. You can see over in Smoky Joe, I've got cutters, I've got lighters all over the place.
But yet he has a very impressive array of lighters and cutters that he has in the showcase, which I don't think they come out to play very often.
They don't, because I use the inexpensive stuff that works well. And I don't need it, but I have to have it. Mm-hmm. And then I got the display case and I stuck everything in there, and I still love Iron Man. Iron Man's worth having. Mm-hmm. The Cigar Quad Volta, just because of the size and the amount of butane that
or did you get it as a...
No. I bought this at Famous when I was actually in the store. I got this, and I got the store style cutter. Mm-hmm. The wife is the one that named him Iron Man.
That's a good name.
But I do love that lighter. But when it comes to the cutters, man, I just go with the simple and inexpensive, and these Vertigo cutters work as well as anything else I've ever used, and I've never had one go dull on me.
I've been using the Cigar since about 97, and that's my cutter.
Well, here's the thing. Cigar cutters, I've said it 100 times on this show, as reliable a cutter as you can get. I'm just saying, if you have somebody out there that doesn't want to commit to spending the $40 or $50 on one, that's understandable.
Smoker, if you're going to invest in that.
And here's the thing: I've got tons of Cigar lighters, and I love them all. I have different styles for different reasons, and I like them all. But in terms of reliability, I've run into issues with this brand or that brand, and I've never run into it with Vertigo, which is actually one of the least expensive options out there. Vertigo, and then their higher class option is Lotus.
Yeah, we have a lot of Vertigo and
Lotus. Yeah. The thing is, this thing's $10.
Right.
Right? So, I pick them up every once in a while. The problem I used to have whenever I'd smoke every day in my truck on the way to and from work, I'd grab a cutter and lighter on my way out, and eventually I'd have no cutters and lighters in the house.
Right, yep.
Which is probably why I have so many now. But what I ended up doing is, you'll see those gift sets every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's like $15. For a cutter and lighter, both of them Vertigo, and they come in the little foam box.
Right, yeah.
So I bought one of those, and I keep that in my console and underneath my armrest in my truck, and now I have a designated cutter and lighter that live there, and I always have a can of butane underneath of that to refill. So now I don't have to take them all out, but I always have.
Have you ever had a problem with the summer heat?
No.
So we unfortunately have run into it a couple times because we have a lot of those bad boys, and our cars rarely, but it has happened where those lighters have gotten too hot and have blown up like a barrel.
They look like they're pregnant.
Yeah, and it's scary as all get out. We throw it in the yard, and
it's like it's a bomb.
Well, I've passed the point where I'm smoking slow. I'm talking a lot, so you see that my burn is catching up here and kind of needs a little bit of touching up. But I'm down to the pretty end of the nub. I'm curious. To be honest with you, this cigar smoked so much better than I ever expected it to.
Isn't that amazing?
For as odd as the shape
How on
is,
earth
the
does-
draw was incredible out
How
of
on
the
earth does
beginning.
the flow of air go through that snake?
Wow. I
It
mean,
doesn't make any sense.
the
It
seed
should
gets
not
through the
work.
tube somehow. It works real well, and it tastes great. I love the flavor profile. This was an excellent recommendation. 100% love it. Now, I'd like to ask him, because he's in the Sam Club and he spilled half of his on the floor. I don't know how much of his drink he actually got to have. How you feeling about your Donkey Punch?
I love that drink. I absolutely love that drink. It's on the list of things for him to make, but I only
Learn to
drink
make.
out
Learn to make.
away from the house very rarely. Only 2 or 3 times a year will I drink outside of the house.
So here's the secret, okay? And we've gone through this with Heather. She's been going to some pre-canned mix, which is like, at least you're trying. I appreciate you putting in the effort there, Heather. But you want to step up to the pro leagues. Here's how you do it. You got to have your Moscow Mule Mug. I don't care if it's copper or not. They're not lined with copper inside. They're steel. But you have to have a metal mug, because you see when I first handed it to you how frosted up it gets, right? That's how it stays insanely cold. Fill it with crushed ice. Cubed ice is okay if you don't have crushed. Then I always thought I was making mine strong because I was putting in a double shot of vodka. What I found out was that I was using the measuring tool that I was already doing a double, so I was doing 2 doubles. So there's actually 4 shots of Stoli's vodka in here. Then you do 1/2 of a Krabby's ginger beer. And I'm telling you right now, if you want it to be good like this, it's got to be Krabby's.
Yeah, it
It's
seems
an
like it's always
alcoholic
about
ginger
the
beer.
ginger beers.
It's got the bite to it. It's got a really nice flavor, but you can't taste the alcohol. Then a really hefty squirt of lime juice. I used to go fresh. I don't do that anymore. It's too much work.
Yeah.
The little plastic container
Yep.
works just as well. A super hefty shot of lime juice in there, and you're ready to rock and roll. You got 4.5 drinks worth of alcohol in one mug, and it tastes like there's no booze in it at all.
So on our way here, we had that discussion. It's like, Sam and Corey drink a lot, and we have to
Sam.
we have to leave here and drive to Waynesburg tonight. So we had that whole thing. Now, don't be drinking too much. You're driving, and then I'm driving the other half.
There you go.
So don't let him like suck you in and like, all this is good, and you pound too many down and not be able to go down that really
She told me to
driveway.
bring in the wicked pickle. That would have solved that.
There you go. It's misleading. You wouldn't expect it to have what's in there behind it, and
Right.
that's where your punch comes in. But I'll tell you what, I've never had a more refreshing alcoholic beverage. That's the word that I always use to describe it, because on a hot day, you drink this, there's nothing that's no alcoholic beverage that you're ever going to have that's going to make you feel better
Right.
than drinking one of these. It is crazy how much it'll
I
cool you
can
down.
appreciate the bourbons and stuff that you guys smoke and all that, but for me, it's too strong. It's so
That's understandable.
it's not mine, but I like the drinks that you don't really have that strongness. You have a lot of alcohol, but you don't have that that's burning.
Yeah, for sure. So you
Yeah.
like your Long Island iced teas and so forth.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steve Newman, who's checking us out on the live broadcast. I understand that, and it took me a long when they say Scotch or whiskey is an acquired taste. I put effort into acquiring the taste because I wanted to be that guy. I always thought the bad guy in the movies looked so cool, sipping the Scotch or the bourbon out of the glass
Yeah.
or pounding it. It's like, how do they do that? That tastes like garbage. And eventually I did cross over, and now I am 100%. Give me the drink neat. I don't want anything mixed with it. I don't want any ice in it.
See,
I
as
don't want
strange as can
anything
be, I
else.
can't handle the bourbons and all that, but I love moonshines.
Well, all right.
All of them, straight across the board.
Even the White Lightnings?
Don't mix them
No,
with
she's never
anything.
tried that.
Okay.
It's all about shots.
Yeah, white lightnings though.
Yeah, you
I
won't
just-
like that.
I just love all the moonshines, which are very strong, which doesn't make sense with the fact that I can't handle other strong drinks.
Well, my aunt and uncle live in the cut in the woods, and I go over there the one time, and they have some bottle of just this most ridiculous moonshine they could find, and it was a White Lightning. There's no flavor added to it. It is pure alcohol. and
Liquid death.
they're talking about how insanely strong it is, and everybody's sitting there touching it to their lips and taking a little bit, and I was like, nah, I got to be the guy that does the full shot. So it's like, give me a double shot glass, fill that baby up, and I'm gonna do it. And God, was that painful. It was terrible. And I don't drink things for the strength. I do drink them for the flavor. But if you do a little bit at a time, I can enjoy them. And that's how it had to be for me. The transition was, somebody told me it was, don't take a sip. Let it touch your lips and just let a drop of it roll past your lips and onto the tip of your tongue. Let it spread across your tongue. Experience how that flavor expands and changes. And that is what drew me into it and what helped me cross that line of going, okay, I'm a Scotch drinker. And since then, of course, I've been able to go more and more like anything else. But I do really appreciate them, but not to the same. If you're watching the show, you're thinking, oh, he's drinking all the time. I don't. I will drink if I'm smoking a cigar. Mm-hmm. I will smoke 5 cigars and drink 1 drink while I watch everybody else smoke 1 cigar or no cigars and pound drinks all night. Mm-hmm. That's why I win at poker so often, is because I'm the soberest player at the table. But I do appreciate it, but I only really drink on a social level.
My major. This is what my major drink with for cigars is Diet Pepsi. It goes with everything. In fact, there's one thing I think is a bad mix with cigars. I always did. Finally, somebody we weren't talking about it. He brought it up, and he agreed with it. He said that I think there is no beer that works with a cigar. They just don't match. And that was Coleman.
All right.
Coleman says, yeah. He said,
I think Perdomo would take exception to that. They created a whole line of cigars specifically to pair with beers.
Yeah, but like Coleman said that. He said, I think it's an awful mix.
It's just like anything else. It's just all about how it works on your palate and how it works for you. And it's not the same for everybody. Again, I related to Heather over the Monsters. I drink the Monster Zero Ultras, and I really love the watermelon one. Mm-hmm. But I'm just as happy drinking that as anything else because it doesn't put me to sleep. And I like the way it tastes. It actually tastes like it could have alcohol in it, but
you can always add alcohol.
My wife calls it happy juice.
Happy juice.
She's always been a coffee drinker, never dug the energy drinks. And then one day I gave her one that she actually liked the taste of. She took a sip of it. And so she grabbed one on a trip that I couldn't go to because of work. She was going on a road trip. She had to drive the whole way. And so she was just dying on her way back, stopped at a convenience store and grabbed one of them. And she goes, I get why you like those. Mm-hmm. Coffee takes a while. I take the first sip of that thing and I'm like, whoop, I am wide awake and jumping around in my chair. I've got a little more tolerance than that. So
you might want to get some of that.
Yeah, I did get them. I enjoyed the flavor. It was a lighter taste.
She likes, I didn't get if you don't like
puffiness of it.
Yeah, if you don't like the super sweet ones, there's like a teal blue one, and it's a mango flavor.
I was looking forward to the happy perky thing.
Yeah,
because I'm not a morning person at work. I have to work really hard at faking it.
That's why I don't start work till 12.
I imagine that goes for other things too.
Yeah, well, I start 3 hours before this knucklehead gets out of bed.
Oh, I was referring to the faking it part, but anyways.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I'm not commenting because I've refreshed a couple times and I'm totally froze.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough. Heather says same. I don't know what she's saying. She's saying something.
What are you saying, Heather?
Maybe she's jumping in on the Monsters.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming. Let's go ahead and welcome our new members to the group this week. We got quite a bit of them. The group is growing, and we appreciate it. I'd appreciate it if you guys would have some names that were easier to read. But we're going to go ahead and give it my best shot. If I butcher it, I'm sorry. But what are you going to do? You get the show for free. Tony Chang, My Den, My Rules, Wendy Zhang, John Zink, Jeremy Glenn, Julia Arona, Michael Dove. We're going to skip that one. Phil DiCarlo, David Moore, Michael King, Adul Ferguson, S.J. Blades, Christopher Budzinski, Dan Bauman, and Christopher Morris. Thank you guys all for jumping in and joining the Facebook group this week. Any of you guys out there that know somebody that is in the group but not listening to the show, let them know what they're doing wrong. Don't get me wrong. We're happy to have as many members in the group as we can get it as a community. But the Facebook group was designed to support the show because we want you guys to interact with us. When we say we are the Cigar Show for the community, by the community, you don't have to listen to me and say it's BS anymore because the community's here. You know, you start listening, and when old Sammy boy goes out of town, you never know. You might be sitting in the cigar cave and doing the podcast with us. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know. That's quite correct. Hey, one thing I'd like to add
Sure.
before we're done tonight. We talked about a little bit when you said some of the things that Patty and I do.
Oh, should we tell the kids to leave the room?
No, well, that's not what I meant. But anyhow, I just want to talk about some of the events. He mentioned that we do sponsor events.
Please, if you have something to add, get in there.
We have started basically what we do. We started with our own parties. We had my groom party, then we did a Halloween party at Smoker Friendly, and it sort of branched out. And what's gotten really, and so we've done more Halloween parties. Mark at Superior Shops in Natrona Heights, and he also has store in Munhall. He basically has all told us that anytime we want to have an event he has a wonderful lounge downstairs. If you've never been there, you got to check it out. We can always have an event. So probably our bigger like Halloween parties and things will always be there. There's going to be a Halloween party this year. I don't have the dates or everything yet, but I'm sure we'll pass that along. But what Patty and I do, we have our own Facebook page called Our Cigar Life. And what we try to do is we keep all the local events updated on there. And we also, Patty has been really good in updating those events both to the PCC page and also to the Cigar Junkies.
Hell yeah.
Now, as far as what we've got planned.
Hell yeah.
Now, as far as what we've got planned, and it's something that we've sort of started, and it's like the cool thing is we're not the ones that have come up with the ideas. As you know, we had a beer. We had what we called was the Gurkha. It was
Yakuza Palooza.
Oh yeah, you guys missed a great event.
And that featured beer
vacation.
pong, bourbon smoking, and also we had a really nice nacho bar, and it was a great night. And it was we had great attendance. Everybody loved it, and that was at Dirty Dogs.
I'd be doing dad jokes all night. Every time someone come up to make nachos, I'd be like, "You can't have any," and they'd say, "Why?" And I go, "Nacho bar."
Yeah. Well, Bobby Nacho was sad he didn't get to go to that one, by the way, because that was his.
I bet.
But a couple things that we've got coming up. We don't have the exact dates on these either, and these actually were proposed by Talking, and Dirty Dogs actually proposed, and we're going to be hosting these at Dirty Dog.
They're coming up. Other people are coming up with events
and asking
for
if
us.
we'd be willing to host.
It's not just us creating them. It's like, hey, we want to have this party. Here's an idea.
Well, it's easy because
happen.
it's like, hey, as long as you guys are paying.
Yeah.
How about strippers and blow?
There you go. Yeah.
But
we'll put that on the calendar.
But what is cool, because we're coming up with ideas. When you think of cigar events in the past, they've always pretty much been vendor related. You go in, there's a vendor or a representative of a company, which is great. Those are really good things. You get to them, you learn more about the cigars. But what we started doing is having events that really you're just thinking outside the box. The beer pong.
It's an actual event.
Right.
Yeah.
Beer pong was outside the box. Now, what we've got coming up, and again, I'm not going to take credit for being the sole person coming up with this idea. We're going to have a retro video game night where we're going to have game systems going all the way back to the Atari up to the PlayStation 3 or 4 or whatever. So we're going to have video games. We have multiple TVs set up.
And this is a Dirty Dogs in August.
We're gonna have pizza, and we're gonna smoke cigars, and of course bourbon smoking, because I got a bourbon smoker. So anytime we have an event that's coming along,
July we're doing a old movie event, kind of like a 20 speakeasy theme, looking at watching Casablanca and.
The Maltese Falcon. It's going to be a
Falcon.
dual. It's going to thing, and this actually was Tim's idea, the owner of Dirty Dogs. So it's going to be we're going to do the double feature, the Maltese Falcon and Casablanca, and we're going to have period appropriate cocktails. And, and of course we'll have some food and cigars again, and the bourbon smoking. So it's kind of cool. So if any of you out there have any ideas what you think would be a cool event to have, go through the Cigar Junkies and let us know, because we're looking to see what we can come up with. And it's all about having fun, getting together, socializing. And that's what this whole lifestyle is about.
We started with just one event, once a year. The Halloween party. It's our biggest one. It's insane. And now this year, so far, we have 8 events scheduled.
We've had a...
That's awesome. Well, I'm doing something a little bit under the radar. The Junkies, I'm sure, will be putting on something in collaboration with you guys once the establishment is set for us to do it at. But in the time being, we'll go ahead and we're going to have a little bit of a test run here for a private event. I'm interested to see what you guys bring to that one. I'm sure it's going to be a good time, but I'm sure you can look forward to a lot of collaborations between Dave and Patty Productions and the Cigar Junkies, as well as Just the Tip Cigars, which is where we're going to likely have quite a few of them over the years. And you might get just a little more than just the tip.
Exactly.
I think it would be cute there. I've seen the outside of the building with the whole, German-looking town thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that just screams Oktoberfest party.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
And the beautiful thing is there's a beer distributor right next door. There's a bar up around the corner in the
Yeah.
same
The
establishment.
piggies like that idea.
Oh, there's a wine and spirits, so it's nice because he's going to get a lot of foot traffic there. I'm going to sit out there with no shirt on doing the chubby hubby and spinning one of those arrow signs, see
you
if
go.
we can scare some
Scare
people
away,
away.
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know, and
lots of
thanks
them,
for the
actually.
support.
But anyhow, we have said we're here to work with anybody that would like. Basically, it's about spreading the cigar lifestyle in the community, and
we
if
want
that's
to do
what we're all
anything we
about.
can to support the brick and mortar.
And you guys do. You're doing an awesome job of it. And Sam and I have actually debated how the future of this show's live recordings are going to continue, because he's going to be opening the shop and he's not going to really be able to afford to pay anybody to do the shows. So, to cover the shop while we do the show.
Yeah.
And so the most realistic idea is we'll probably do the live shows from his shop whenever he gets opened up and off the ground. But I told him, I says, you do the live show from there, you got the benefit of knowing that probably Dave and Patty will plan most of their Fridays on coming, and you're going to sell some cigars that way. You know what I mean? You could probably afford to pay somebody to watch the register then.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that I'll be asking you guys. You don't have to give an answer now. I just want you to think about
Oh,
it.
we like our secrets.
We would actually wanted to offer you guys the opportunity to do a live show when we do our Halloween party.
Oh, absolutely.
From Superior. Do the show that week from Superior, because that's the best event we do of the year, and it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
I'm
the
very
front of the
interested
room.
in that.
So
that'll certainly, a lot's going to be up in the air based on what Sam's got going
Right.
on with his schedule.
and that'll move
stuff,
it to
but,
It'll be a Saturday, so that would move it from Friday to Saturday.
yeah,
but
we'll figure something
we-
out, even if
When
it's
does
a
he
little
open
bonus
the store?
episode.
When's the target?
So that's debatable, right? As of right now, his target is for the end of September, but unfortunately, he's at the mercy of contractors. So
Yeah.
as much as he can plan for that, you know that doesn't mean that they're going to deliver on their end. So we'll see how it goes. But I am looking forward to having Just the Tip being in my neighborhood very soon. It'll actually be one of the closest shops to my house.
He's going to let us buy the rest of the cigar, not just the tip, right?
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how that's all going to work. I think lube costs extra.
Yeah,
Just bite down on something. You'll enjoy it. It'll be a good time. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be smoking next week. That may be up to old Sammy and what he brings back in his bag of tricks and his goodies that he gets out on the showroom floors. But what I can tell you is you can join us next Friday at 6 p.m. We will be live from Facebook. Always find us on your favorite podcast platform. I want to thank the beautiful Peppa Patty and the Chichingulous Chichingo. I don't even know where that came from.
I don't
just
even
made that
know
up.
where it came from either.
Yeah, we go by the seat of our pants here. But thanks for touching base with us. We appreciate having you guys come in here and fill Sam's seat for the week. And, you'll catch us smoking something next week. I don't know what the hell it's going to be, but I
Dave's
haven't
not
prepared.
here, man.
Haven't prepared for any shows up to now, so why start at this point? We'll just wing it. In the meantime, make sure you check us out on patreon.com/the Cigar Junkies podcast, where you can support us and get our merch at the Galaxy Boutique. Use the code JUNKIES for free shipping on anything site-wide.